It is Tuesday, September 25th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. Jaguars Happy Hour is adorned with the presence of Jaguars great Josh Scobee. And now, a guy who could be moments away from having his franchise tender rescinded, J.P. Shadrick.
We're all day today, aren't we? Welcome,
everyone. Yes.
Jaguars Happy Hour on this Tuesday. J.P. Shadrick. We're adorned by the presence of Josh Scobee, apparently. What's up, man? How are you? Let's go.
It could be better. I mean, I feel probably the exact same way that most people around here feel right now, and in Jacksonville, just a little more somber and
you look somber today.
A little more depressed than
your dauber's
last
down.
week. Yeah,
right?
yeah, but I'll try to get it together for this show.
Need you to rally today.
Yeah, it's a new week. You have the 24-hour rule for the players, so I think we should have it as well.
Well, you're not a player anymore. You can talk about it as long as you want. Right?
Yeah, that's why I refer to like us as we, like we not being the players. So it was a tough Sunday to be a spectator of, or to be a fan of the team. It wasn't a fun, pretty game to watch, and it really just wasn't fun leaving there either, because then you got to hear it from all the Titans fans. So.
Plenty to get to today. Here's what we're getting into in this program. The big things for the show today. The final thoughts on the Titans loss. We'll put it to bed. We're going to move on to the New York Jets. Steve Weatherford will join us over the phone. Yes, he played for the Jets. Has a Super Bowl ring with the Giants. Had a cup of coffee with the Jaguars. We'll get to catch up with Weatherford coming up. And John Ozier, Jaguars.com senior writer, is with us. And some good questions this week.
Yeah,
absolutely. For Social Scobee.
Yeah, the fans brought it this week. There's some good, funny questions and serious and not so serious questions. So that's why I love my Twitter followers, because they ask me some really random things, that's for sure.
Well, you're kind of a random answer kind of guy.
Well, I
know your response is going to be. So.
And that's why I appreciate them. They know my sarcasm, even though I don't have the font built in just yet. They get it, so that I get a lot of sarcastic questions, and I enjoy the social media.
All right, before we move on and put this game to bed, let's go to the shirt of the week. You have the DTWD original shirt today, and that's pretty cool.
This is a good one. I like this one.
It's the Modus building.
It's or apparently
Wells Fargo building.
Boy,
yeah,
but they renamed it for this, so it says "Go Jaguars" and Bold City. It's a pretty cool shirt. I've only been wearing it for about an hour and a half now, but already got quite a few comments on it. So. Good-looking shirt, and just another one of DTWD Originals puts out. They just gave me a fresh new batch of them for a few more weeks.
Nice? They apparently don't have extra large.
They don't. No,
I don't know where we got lost in translation there.
I'll see if I can make a phone call or a tweet or something, and maybe we can make that happen.
That would be, not a big deal. I'm not.
You've been talking about it for like 4 weeks.
It's not a big deal. It's just a month. It's no big deal.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Just every Tuesday.
No promises, but I'll see what I can do.
We have another, probably a 2X or a couple of those in there. In the other room, Patrick's probably a large. Joe's
Joey a medium?
He's a schmedium.
Large.
We'll get to those, of course. So this is an ugly football game on Sunday. The Titans and the Jags, 9-6. Jags offense can't move the ball. The defense is doing their thing, sure. In key moments, they couldn't get them off the field late. You can't hang this on the defense, so. The offense got past the 50 twice in the game. They were never in the red zone. And all that adds up to a kicker day. And no offense to kickers, you don't want that really to be the outcome here.
No, you don't. Even when I was playing, I love those type of days whenever we would actually win those games. But as a spectator and someone who is a Jaguar fan, you don't want to see this type of day. You want to see the offense move a little better, or a lot better than they did. And coming off of last week against the Patriots, everyone expected this game to be quite a bit different. We expected to move the ball a lot better than what happened, and it just seemed like things weren't clicking at all. It seemed like play calling was a little bit different, a little more conservative in my point of view, and things, the execution just really didn't pan out. And there were some drops by the receivers, some missed throws by Blake, some batted down passes that basically resulted in the offense going nowhere. And like you said, they only passed the 50 twice in a game. That's almost hard to do, to only passed the 50 twice in one NFL game.
Blake Bortles said it the other day, even after the game, I think. It's hard to score only 6 points in an NFL game.
Yeah, that just tells me that everyone was a little bit off. And it's hard to put your finger on it and say exactly what it was because it was multiple things. But I have a feeling that they're going to work really hard this week and right the ship and do exactly what they need to do. Look at the film, get over it, and move on to first day of practice tomorrow.
I think the thing that a lot of people are just having trouble swallowing is that, hey, against the Patriots, the offense looked great. Blake was great. They're making throws, unbelievable catches. They're running the ball when they have to, even without Leonard Fournette. Didn't run it a lot in that game, but the offense moved the ball, and they scored points in this, and they look so great. And then the next week out, it's a total opposite feel. I mean, how can it be that extreme, I guess, is a question.
Yeah, that's what you don't want as the Jaguars offense. You need to have some consistency. And going from last week to this week, there was zero consistency. And there's quite a difference between the Patriots defense and the Titans defense, especially their D-line.
Yeah.
Their D-line has some really good players. So opening up those lanes for the running game, it wasn't there. And then the screen game didn't work for the most part. And, I mean, you can see the numbers right there. Just nothing really clicked all day. And Blake's yard per attempt was very low. They were throwing the ball short quite a bit and not getting much out of it. And all that results in 6 points. And 6 points are great, but if you're the other team and you're expecting to win every single game if one team scores 6.
Leonard Fournette was not available for this game yet again, and this was the kind of game – you didn't really miss him a lot against the Patriots, but this is the kind of game of physical, in the trenches, got to get 2 yards, let's hand it off to the big back kind of game that you could have used him. And it's starting to add up a little bit now. There was all that talk last week. Oh, the offense is all right without him. You got to have your best running back on this football team available.
Yeah, there's a reason he was a top 5 pick. It's because he has that type of talent that is going to endure this type of game. And this, like you said, this is a tough, hard-nosed football team on both sides, especially on their D-line. So the running game was going to be key. And it seemed like that was the big difference. The Titans kept putting themselves in third and manageable and not so much third and long to where they had to pass the ball. It seemed like they were in a lot of 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s, 3rd and shorts that are a whole lot more manageable. And it seemed like the Jaguars were always in 3rd and long and having to throw the ball, and it just didn't work out.
That's not going to work out at all.
Not for this type of offense,
no.
the way the Jaguars are built.
No, they're built for 3rd and short and pound it up in there and see
exactly.
what happens. Defensively, they gave up 9 points.
You expect to win every single game when you give up 9 points.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You can't ask a whole lot more from these guys.
You can't. I mean, 9 points is 9 points. But at the same time, like I said, there were a lot of third and manageables. And I really think the big difference was when Gabbert went down. The game plan changed for the Titans, and I'm sure the game plan changed for the type of game the Jaguars defense thought it was going to be. So obviously they might not have adjusted as perfect or as well as they wanted to, but that's the thing you have to be ready for. And they probably had to know that even if Gabbert hadn't played well, that they might have gone back to Mariota.
But you knew Mariota's limited in what he could do, and that showed in the game. It wasn't like he's throwing downfield all the time. Couldn't feel it to throw downfield, so a lot of it was short, outside passing game, get a few yards here or there, then run the stupid read option, and then keep
one of
it
my
for
least
15
favorite
yards.
offenses. Yeah, can't stand watching.
It's great when it works for you because the Jags have it in too now, but they don't lean on it as much as Mariota had to the other day.
But it worked quite a bit. I mean, it's the same offense that he ran in college at Oregon, and he blitzed people for that, just crushed them. But it just seemed like they kept getting 5 and 6 yards every single time they ran that offense. And it was frustrating to watch, and it turned out to be a very short, long day for the Jaguars. The game ended in, it seemed like 2.5 hours because of how many running plays there were, how many long drives there were, especially for the Titans. And it was not a fun game to be a spectator of.
No, and that's what, 4 out of 5, the last 5 the Titans have won against this team now. I mean, No, John Oehser had a pretty good thought last week about this, and it came out in this football game too. The Jags haven't scored a meaningful offensive touchdown against the Titans in like 2 seasons now. Well, when you think about last year, they scored the late touchdowns. They were down 30-3 or whatever at one point in that game, then scored some late. The defensive touchdown in Nashville last year. So it's the Christmas Eve game in 2016. I mean, it's you got to figure out how to play against the Titans, and the Titans just have their number right now. They're built defensively to slow this kind of team down.
Yeah, and you don't want to say that it's becoming a thing, but it is. It almost is, and players don't really believe that. It might be in the back of the minds of some of the guys that have been through, these 4 to 5 games over the past 3 years, but we don't want it to be a trend from now on, and we have to go there in December on a Thursday night and play them, and you don't want to make it 5 out of the last 6 games getting beat by them. And that's just the tough part about the NFL, especially in your division. You play the same team twice. You beat them the first time. It feels like you're kind of pressing the next time you play them.
Who was the team that had your guys' number when you were playing?
It was always Houston. For some reason, even whenever they weren't that great and we were trying, we had a few years where we were, they seemed to have our number. I remember my rookie year, we played them late in the year. We had just come off a great win at Green Bay in December, and then we come back at home to play Houston, and we laid an egg. It was 30-3 or something like that. So that team kind of had our number for some reason. And sometimes in this league, that happens. There's just certain teams and certain matchups that don't go well for other teams.
Let's recap in the bowl the other day. Was it hotter Sunday than the Patriots game? By feel?
By feel, it felt a lot hotter. From my perspective, it did. Mainly for the fact that the team was losing the entire game. That didn't help. It might not have been, but the week before, I mean, it's such an exciting game. There's big plays being made. So you're standing up, moving around, doing things that cool you off. But there was not much standing up, moving around, and enjoying a nice breeze, walking down the steps and back up. But it was tough. And we have our 3rd home game in a row coming up and a chance to go 3-1 in this quarter, win the quarter, and it's something that's a great opportunity for this team.
Yeah, if you listen to Twitter and all this, a lot of things this week, it's doom and gloom, right? I mean,
it always is.
The
after
team's 2-1.
Yeah, well, it's the
There's
highs and the lows.
13 games left.
That's the bad part about the NFL, especially the fans, is they ride the highs and the lows, and the players try to stay on an even keel. The coaches try to do the same. They're not in there just ripping players over and over. They understand, especially Doug Marrone, the way he speaks. You can tell that he understands you have to stay a lot more even keel and not ride that roller coaster of emotions.
And next week's a big. I mean, got to have this one though. I mean, 2-2, not a good feel when you're going on the road for 2 weeks, and then 4 of the next 5 are away from TIAA Bank Field, including the London game. So 3-1 going into that feels a lot. That's less tense of a plane ride, let's say, to Kansas City.
Without a doubt, and that's going to be a tough matchup when they go to Kansas City. So the Jets team coming in here, especially on offense, they're turning over the ball quite a bit. They have a rookie quarterback who has played well in spurts, but he's got quite a few turnovers already. So I think it's a great matchup and a great game to be able to bounce back from last week.
A get-well game, right?
You would hope so.
Maybe.
Now, and we kind of thought that.
I don't know if those exist in the league, but
they kind of do in a way. It's a good way to, mentally and physically get back on the right track, and hopefully it'll be a great Sunday.
I hate to say this, but the Fox announcers for this game,
oh gosh,
Dan Hellie and Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That Jeff Fisher. Speaking of the Titans.
Oh, man. Well, we can never get away from that guy.
I know, right? We can
never.
try to put it to bed. He's coming in this week.
Well, we'll just mute him whenever he's on, but you get what you get sometimes.
I guess. There you have it. The review, it's to bed. We're going to put this one past us.
It's Tuesday.
Until John Oehser comes on a little later. We'll hit some notes on that. And then we'll put it to bed.
That sounds good to me.
It's over.
Good.
9-6, Titans win. Jags are 2-1. The Titans are in first place in the AFC South, though. They are 2-0 in the division. The Jags in second. Same record, 0-1 in the division. And Indy and then Houston right now currently at the bottom there, Josh. It's a Houston team that, they have some playmakers on offense. They just can't put it together right now. J.J. Watt found some sacks last week finally, 3 sacks in the game. But for Houston. Indy showing a little sign of life with Andrew Luck, but there's still questions of where he's throwing the football, if he can get it down the field or what. And you know what's happening here. So there's your division right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good spot to be in right now, essentially tied for the lead other than the division record with Tennessee. But it could be a lot worse. People were predicting before the year Houston to come in second, maybe get a wild card, and Deshaun Watson to be the MVP of the league one day. So, we could be in much worse spots. We have a winning record through 3 games. We have a home game coming up Sunday. So it's not doom and gloom. If we get out of this week 3-1 and go back to the beginning of the year and see a lot of people's predictions, I'd say it'd be right around that spot.
Everybody wants to win everything, though. You gotta win them all. Let's go undefeated.
It's
can't
amazing,
do that anymore.
It's a great feeling to have those expectations now. A few years ago it was not like that, and I was a part of it, and believe me, it was not fun. So Jaguar fans, enjoy it and be there Sunday. Show up, and it's going to be hot, but enjoy it because we need you.
It's Florida in September. It's hot. That's
you got to deal with it.
Yep. Jags and the Jets coming up Sunday, 1 o'clock. A reminder that tickets to Jags games are now mobile in 2018. Download the official Jags app to view, claim, and send your tickets to friends or family before you arrive at the stadium. Bring your belongings this Sunday in an NFL-approved clear bag. They're available at all Dailies locations. But most important, arrive early. Get game ready for Jaguars football. Visit jaguars.com/game day. We'll return Steve Weatherford, former NFL punter and current fitness guru, will join us over the phone. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. I've been doing this for 20 years, but success doesn't happen in a vacuum. Thank you for helping me move this thing along. You helped me get this thing going in the early days by telling 20 of your closest friends about Tito's. They told 20 more, and it kept growing from there. We wouldn't be where we are today without your support. Thank you very much. Go to Tito'sVodka.com and pick up some Tito's gear. All proceeds benefit our charity partners. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Only in Jacksonville can you tour a state-of-the-art hospitality show home before a game. Hi, this is Lauren Brooks. Make it a point to visit the Dreamfinders Home's newest stadium home before any home Jaguars game. Take a free tour and register for a chance to win amazing grand prizes. Dreamfinders Homes will select one winner per home game. Only at Dreamfinders Homes Stadium Home 2.0 by Gate 4 at TIAA Bank Field. Dreamfinders Homes, homes built to fit your lifestyle.
Jaguars Happy Hour continues on this Tuesday. JP Shadrick, Josh Scobee. We're out to Steve Weatherford. He'll join us shortly. Former NFL punter, and a little bit around the corner, John Ogier, Jaguars.com senior writer. We'll recap put this game to bed finally, and then get a little ahead to the New York Jets and the feel around this Jaguars team. And then we'll get to Social Scobee coming up very, very shortly. It's like we were saying the last time. It's early. It's 2-1. There's still a lot of good things going on for this football team. You got the defense. You got some parts on offense. This thing just kind of happens from time to time. It's not pretty to look at. It's not fun, but this happened last year too. Remember, it was a great game. It was a bad game. It was 3-3. You didn't know which way this team was going to go until they found their stride about midway through.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the games that we lost last year were games that we expected to win. The early Jets game, Arizona game, Tennessee, both games. So it's nothing to get too upset about right now. Not make any knee-jerk reactions about Blake, about the offense, about anything. Because last week everyone loved Blake. Everyone loved the offense and how explosive it was. And this week, it's the exact opposite. So it's just the way the NFL goes. You got to ride the ups and downs, but not too much. Yeah. Even as a fan, not too much. And
even that's what fans do, though.
Oh, that's what they do. And
fans going to fan.
I always love going to any team website, especially Facebook, and reading the comments underneath after a day like Sunday, and just looking at how irrational some people can be, and just say, take a step back, calm down. These people in the building know what they're doing. Give them a chance, and it'll work out.
That's
all right. We're gonna.
It's funny because I mean, here in the if you read the comments on the Ozone, it's the same thing. I mean, and we'll hear John Ozier's take on this coming up a little later. I mean, it never. It's every day he gets emails from these fans that are just upset about everything. That's how it is.
Well, the ones that pay their hard-earned money and pay for a ticket and show up, and even the ones that don't. I mean, they're still fans. They want to see a good product, and when they don't get that good product, they get upset, and it's justifiable. But at the same time, it's still very early in the season.
So give us an idea of Steve Weatherford. You guys go back for a while.
Yeah, 2008 is when he was signed here towards the end of that season, and he was here throughout the next offseason. And he's a good dude.
There he is holding for you.
Yeah, he and I used to get mistaken for each other in Jacksonville quite a bit. And now that would not be the case because he probably weighs 40 pounds more than me, and it's pure muscle. So, but he played quite a bit in the league, and now he's doing fitness modeling, crazy weightlifting, and he's got a Super Bowl ring with the Giants, and just an all-around good dude.
Yeah, and I played for a number of teams in the league, including the New York Jets and Rex Ryan and that whole crew, and of course has some really good Tom Coughlin stories. We're out to Steve. He'll be with us very, very shortly at Weatherford5 on Twitter. Let's get to the specialist watch this week. The New York Jets come in with a familiar face at the kicking position. Jason Myers is the kicker for the Jets, fourth year out of Marist. We know him here. He's perfect this year with a long of 55. Edwards is the punter from Sam Houston State. He's a young fella, third year. And Thomas Hennessy is the long snapper. But Jason Myers sighting. He's kicking the ball well this year.
Yeah. He's actually, having a pretty decent year. I think he's only missed one kick so far, an extra point. But obviously doing really well on field goals. And he's up near where he went to college up there in Marist. So it's good to see him doing well, and hopefully that continues other than Sunday. But, it's you always root for the Jags. And I never root for kickers to miss, but unless it's against my own team. So that's the only reason.
Well, I mean, I could see that when you're playing because it's karma. You don't want that coming back to you, right? But
Correct.
Now that you're done.
Oh, I love to see every kicker miss now. It doesn't bother me. Except the Jags kicker and the ones that I know and like. So and their punter this year's having a pretty good year so far. Lachlan Edwards. Parents chose Lachlan as his first name, which is kind of strange. Maybe it's a middle name. Maybe it's like Mark Lachlan Edwards or something like that. But
maybe so.
Very strange name. Having a good season so far through 3 games. 43.4 net is really good net.
We talked about net last week, and 40 is kind of the where you want to be.
That's the threshold where you want to be, and 43 might be probably up there close to one of the best in the league through 3 games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously Jason has a strong leg, so they're going to have to account for both of these guys on special teams.
I love it. There you have it, our weekly specialist watch. John Ozier's favorite part of the program.
It's the athlete watch, and that's where you talk about the best athletes on the field. And, well, at least the guys that don't get hurt as much. That's about it. The least amount of concussions on the field.
The most flexible.
Yes.
I mean, right?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I was always one of the least flexible kickers. There's some guys that are ridiculous, but the kickers have the strongest like hamstrings and groins. So that's what strength coaches always told us.
It's true.
Yeah, you
right?
better. Yeah.
If not, you're in trouble.
Correct.
Let's take a timeout. John Ozier right around the corner to join us, and the Jags and the Jets coming up. John, what's your name? Josh.
Jose is my name. Jose.
Jose Scobee is with us.
Perfect.
We'll come back with more. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. I've been doing this for 20 years, but success doesn't happen in a vacuum. Thank you for helping me move this thing along. You helped me get this thing going in the early days by telling 20 of your closest friends about Tito's. They told 20 more, and it kept growing from there. We wouldn't be where we are today without your support. Thank you very much. Go to Tito'sVodka.com and pick up some Tito's gear. All proceeds benefit our charity partners. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
When this is the sound of a crackling campfire on a cool evening, you can sit back and relax. But when it's the sound of your counters and cabinets smoking and smoldering following a house fire that's affected your entire kitchen, you need to pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-SERVPRO when fire damage strikes. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
We're back. Jaguars Happy Hour continues. JP Shadrick, Josh Scobee, John Ozier right around the corner, moments away from joining us here. We'll get to Social Scobee coming up. Let's get to Social Scobee now. Why not?
Why not?
Let's knock it out early today.
Let's do it.
Plenty of nice questions. Let's start, though, with the Josh Scobee tweets of the week. We always start with some of your I guess humorous.
Yeah.
You're trying to be,
attempts at
humor and all this. So let's start off with number one today from Josh Scobee. There was a game on Saturday. It was Notre Dame at Wake Forest. Wake Forest lines up for a field goal, except they missed the kicker. The kicker was on the side still warming up. The rest of the 10 on the special teams unit are on the field lined up. The holder is looking around. What the heck's going on? And I think you've told this story or you told a story similar to this a week or two ago that you've had this nightmare before about missing a kick.
It's an actual nightmare that I have, and every now and again, that for some reason I have that nightmare. Everyone has strange nightmares about a random thing. You're naked in school for some reason, some goofy thing. This is mine. I'm on the sideline. It's fourth down. They're calling field goal, and my body moves like molasses, and I can't get out there. But apparently with this kid, he's a freshman and having a decent season before this viral video, but pretty comical. He must not have been alerted by a special teams coach or anyone or paying attention whatsoever. I've heard other stories where the scoreboard might be wrong with what down it is. The down marker might be wrong.
Yeah.
I was always really OCD about that, just making sure I knew what down it was just in case, because you don't want something like that to happen. That's for sure.
Well, you told the story the other week about having your shoes off or having a hot dog in your hand at La Tech.
The hot dog, yes.
Yeah.
That was completely different scenario. It was an interception, pick six, hot dog in hand. But this one was they're in field goal position, and he's over by the net warming up, and fourth down, and he's still on the sideline.
And he runs out there.
Doinks it off the left upright, which makes it that much worse.
But he made a couple kicks in the second half, so he redeemed himself. They lost the game, but at least he made a couple.
Well, one of my replies to this tweet was, you can't miss him if you don't show up. So maybe that was his thought process, that he's not going to miss if you don't show up.
It's true. Just stay over here.
It was a funny situation for us to watch.
Next, Social Scobee today. Dustin Carey on Twitter asked you, is Fournette playing? This is obviously before the game. I'm not the trainer, Dustin, he says.
Well, this guy tweets me quite a bit, and he's always got some funny things to say. But I love when I get these type of questions, and that's just the funny things that fans can ask, the ones that they actually think that I might know something about that I'm in the locker room or down on the sideline or in the training room asking if he's going to go for his fantasy team's purposes. So
we thought you knew everything, Josh.
You
tell us that all the time.
So I thought he was going to play last week, and I told people he was probably going to play. So that shows how much I know.
All right, Social Scobee number 3. Tiger Woods arriving at the course in Atlanta on Sunday. Guns out. Getting ready for that final round after a great third round. And, this is, in case you were wondering if he's winning today, straight out of the weight room, no doubt. Look at Tiger, and he finished the job, finally.
He did. It was fun to watch. And, yes, that tweet, says that he came straight from the gym and did some bicep curls. He is not small.
How old is he?
I think he's 42, 43, somewhere around there.
Right in there.
Yeah.
Mid-40s, huh?
But he wore that same shirt, which is one of the goofiest looks I've ever seen him wear. He wore that undershirt under his normal red and black that he does. And his shirt was a lot bigger and baggier for some reason that day. And whatever, it worked, and he won. So
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes for Tiger to win again.
It was a great scene on 18, though.
This is one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen on a golf course. I remember at one point thinking that he was going to get mobbed and security was not doing their job. And it just shows you how much Tiger brings to the scene, because Rory McIlroy's trying to go through the crowd and he looked like just another golfer, and it's Rory McIlroy. So
right.
It was fun to watch.
Let's continue on the golf theme here. You asked a reporter who had a photo of the Ryder Cup team on the airplane steps who thought this was a good idea, he asked. He said, what are you reaching here for? He's trying to start some controversy, this guy.
That's just amazing what some reporters and what some people look into and what they try to find out of a picture. This picture is the U.S. Ryder Cup team coming straight from the flight from the U.S., landing in London, walking down the steps, and they took this team photo. There's some wearing sunglasses and some not. And this, I guess, golf reporter is trying to find something wrong with this. And our interaction back and forth was that he said the European media tries to find everything they can to stir up controversy this type of week, and that this is kind of like, what do they call it, bulletin board material.
Oh, that's the one that's going to get him riled up, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Good job.
Great. Way to go dig in there. Let's get some fan questions. We had some good ones today, because you bashed the fans last week. You did.
I did? What I said?
You did. You said the questions were not that good.
Oh, the questions were pretty bad last week. So we got to pump this up a little more.
So we've done that. And
it worked.
The Scobee fans have responded.
Good
today.
deal.
They really have. Fan question number 1 from Roy Lang III. Hashtag Social Scobee. Still want to play Tiger for $100,000 a hole? You threatened that a while back on Twitter, right?
It was no threat. Roy Lang is actually a golf writer in Shreveport, Louisiana. So another golf writer. But no, my reply was a meme of Danny DeVito shaking his head, because that was obviously not a threat when I tweeted that to Tiger. It was 100% a joke. It was a bad joke because Tiger was down at the time, so I thought, I could probably beat him.
Step on
so
him
it
while
was
he's down.
It was a very, very well thought out by me in the Chick-fil-A line getting dinner that night. So put the phone back in my pocket and took it back out later, and it was not good.
Yeah, I don't. Looking at the photo of Tiger earlier, I don't think he's eaten Chick-fil-A anytime lately. I mean, he's locked in. Meanwhile, Chick-fil-A over here.
I love Chick-fil-A.
I do too.
What's wrong with Chick-fil-A?
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying. Fan question number 2. Speaking of writers, I mean, you another writer. We got another writer coming on shortly with us, John Ozier. We can get to him.
He looks impatient back there.
He does. Big G, 1998, or is that just Big 1998? With 2 G's. Do you wish you could still be playing for the Jags right now? Hashtag Social Scobee.
This week, probably not so much. Last week, absolutely. Every week during the season on Thursday when you get the paycheck, 100%, no doubt. But no, there's a reason I retired. I was ready to be done. So I'll just say no to that altogether.
That's a no. You're done.
Yeah.
Once you're done, you're done.
Once you're done. Mentally, once you're done, you're done. So I'm done mentally. Physically, if I tried to go out and kick, like get back in leg kicking shape, it would take quite a while. A lot of soreness and probably a lot of struggles. So
what would it
don't try to
what would it take?
patronize me.
I'm just asking.
What would it take? Probably 6 weeks of a full regiment, and it would take a long time to build up to that kicking regiment, which is it's like 2 days a week.
Yeah,
it can be very tough.
It's a lot of days in a week. Let me tell you.
Let's
get to another
shaking of the heads around here.
2 more fan questions. At Speedius Redius, how does consistency in kicking and punting change play calling or game plan, and if at all, the feel of the team?
That's a loaded question. If you're a kicker or a punter and you're ever thinking about that, then you're probably not thinking about the right things. I'm sure the only time it affects play calling is when a kicker or a punter are performing very poorly. And then it might change. The offensive coordinator might be a little more aggressive with play calling. Or if a kicker has a cannon of a leg like a Justin Tucker, then it could affect it. They don't feel like they have to get down as far down the field. So I think that's about it. Yeah, that's I've never heard that question before. So
I thought it was a pretty good question.
It's a good question. I've never heard it posed that way.
Stump Scobee. That's what we'll call this segment.
Speedius Redius. Yeah, that guy tweets me a lot too.
Yeah, you've got a lot of regular tweeters.
I do. A lot of loyal tweeters over the years. Guys that stuck with me through the good times and bad times. So much appreciated, guys.
That's real nice. A final fan question. This is a Blake Bortles passing chart. Yes, it is. Passed along by Lucas Jewell. Care to comment on this? Was it Blake not pulling the trigger? The O-line in shambles, he says. Those are his words. Or were there not enough deep routes called? Hashtag social Scobee.
I won't pretend to be an offensive guru or genius or anyone that knows anything about an NFL offense, but it just seemed to me that the play calling was a lot more conservative. There were a lot more screens and short passes, and as you can see, one of them was completed for negative 9 or 10 yards. So that's impressive. So we were talking about it last week. I feel like Blake plays well when he plays looser and the playbook is opened up a little bit more, and it just, in my opinion, didn't look that way. But that's a kicker talking, not a former wide receiver or former quarterback.
That indeed is a kicker talking. And this kicker is Josh Scobee. By the way, you got a little play on social media last night during the Monday night game. I don't know if you saw any of that. There were a lot of people adding you when I think the Steelers missed a kick or something.
Oh, it's every Steeler game that's ever played now. If there's a made kick or a missed kick, I get hammered on there from their fan base. And they're passionate, crazy, loyal fans, and multiply that by 1,000 on social media.
I could have brought some of those in today, but
I'm glad you
said
didn't.
No thanks.
You probably have to blur out a few of those.
Enough of those.
Yes.
Social Scobee, get your questions in again next week. Use the hashtag. Why not?
Social Scobee.
Hashtag Social Scobee.
Yep.
Another social fella's going to join us here in a moment. Senior writer John Ogier is right after this timeout. Hey, and tomorrow morning, what is tomorrow? Wednesday, John will be on in the morning for Jaguars Drive Time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30, right here on Jaguars.com, the Jags app, and Jaguars social media. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
At ViStar, we believe in better. And that means treating people better with friendly, personal service that's kept our members happy since 1952. A smile and personal greeting when you enter the branch. An online or phone chat for those quick questions. And a call center that's open every day. If you believe that great service is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Jaguars Happy Hour continues. JP Shadrick, Josh Scobee, senior writer John Ogier joins us. Hi, John. Your microphone is not on. That's our beef.
Yeah.
There you are. Yes, sir.
Beef? Can you hear me?
I got you.
Hear my beef? Not only did I have to stand over there for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, Josh.
It wasn't 10 minutes.
I had to listen to you talk about your regime, your kicking regime.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll just start there.
Is it regimen or
Regimen?
regimen?
Yeah,
regime.
regimen.
The regime's this whole thing, but
Yeah,
yes,
the regimen.
Regimen,
It was-
regime, 6.
like 2 or 3 days a week of kicking. So
You all right?
about
It's
as many
exhausting,
times.
yeah.
Yeah,
You gonna make it?
I wouldn't be able to make it now. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Wow.
The kicking.
Oh, we're sorry to
regime.
keep you waiting.
2 whole days a week, John.
It's like 3. Yeah, maybe 3. During the season, it was 3.
Yeah, but Thursdays you got paid.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
was my
Paycheck.
favorite day. Favorite day.
Paycheck clears. That's a good day. We're putting this Titans game to bed, John.
Sure.
Thank goodness, right? I mean, it is not a pretty one to look
Well,
at.
it's look ahead. Wednesday is look ahead day in the ozone. There's no 24-hour rule in the ozone. Unfortunately, it's about 60 hours. You live with a loss. Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, it's a loss that bothered and shocked fans. It didn't necessarily shock me. It didn't necessarily bother me that much. I think you know, throughout the course of an NFL season, you're going to have some games, even if you're a really good team, that you know, you don't win and that you play poorly. And the whole thing is, you don't want to be doing this in December, but to me, it's not uncommon at all for teams that wind up very, very good to have a stinker, and Sunday was a stinker.
Yeah, it was. But you kind of had a feeling about this week. A lot of people were calling for a blowout. I was one of the guilty parties there.
89-9.
38-9. Okay, and I got the 9 part right. Just not the 38. I thought the offense would do a little something, but it just didn't happen. But you didn't have that feel. It was you had an idea it would be a kind of a low scoring, grind it out, get it in the fourth quarter kind of game.
The Titans are one of those teams that, because they often look clunky on offense, even last year during the playoffs, remember, they had their win, but they were down 22-3 or 21-3 and came back, and they came back because Mariota had the pass, it bounced into the air, and he caught it. There's a tendency to discount teams that run on offense and sort of get sneaky first downs the way they do, but play really good defense. They had played that way against this team twice last season. They had beaten them twice. I still haven't seen the Jaguars score a meaningful touchdown offensively against this team since December of 2016. So that's what, I kept saying. I wanted to see the Jaguars score a touchdown in the first half, get a little breathing room, start to feel like they could do it. And until they did it, I was going to be concerned, and they never did it.
Yeah, it was not a fun game to watch, that's for sure.
No.
And we all had the predictions and optimism. And
what was your prediction, Josh, for the record?
I mean, I felt like it was going to be a low-scoring game just because of how the teams were built. I expected the Jaguars to win. But at the same time, you had to be realistic about it because not even a year removed from losing to the team twice and a team that won a playoff game. So it's not that surprising. That's why I don't think people should really hit the panic button right now, because the team was a good team last year, and they could be a good team this year.
Well, to me, here's the biggest reason not to hit the panic button. You came into this season believing that the Jaguars were going to be really, really good. Why?
Well,
To play the defense.
Right.
Yes.
Let's go.
They have done that at a high level the first 3 games. They have yet to allow a touchdown when they were leading by less than 10. Against the Giants, against the Patriots, they were up by 10 when they allowed touchdowns. They didn't allow one the other day. This team is playing really well defensively. If they stay healthy, I see no reason why that won't change. To me, if they continue to play at that level, they will be in every game. They're not going to have 13 more clunkers offensively the way they did the other day. I think they'll blow some teams out the way they did last year because their defense will create turnovers. They'll create those landslide type games we saw last year. I think they'll get a few of those. I think they'll probably lose some that are close because the offense is still figuring it out and it's not consistent. But overall, if they're in games like they were the other day, they're going to win a lot of those kind of games. I still think they win 12, and I still think the whole key is going to be, can they figure out how to get 3 or 4 consistent games in the postseason offensively? They got a couple last year. they got enough, I think, to get to the Super Bowl had they not let down in the fourth quarter defensively. So I think it's still out there, and I think the key is going to be what can they figure out? Can they stay healthy enough offensively and get consistent enough in the playoffs to do it?
New York Jets coming up next. Sam Darnold show coming to town. Rookie quarterback.
And I think this is a game that bodes a lot better for the Jaguars than the other day, because I don't think Darnold is as experienced and savvy. He's healthier than Mariota, certainly. But Mariota gives this team problems because he knows how to create. They stay in third and manageable, and then he creates first downs with his legs and with plays that appear junky. But a lot of that is because he's experienced now. He knows how to do that. I don't know that the Jets right now, because of Darnold's youth, are as savvy at doing the things that bother the Jaguars.
That's a good sign. I like that.
Yeah, I
like that.
I feel much better about it. The Titans are the only team that I have that queasy feeling about against this team, because they just know how to play them. Now, this weekend, the Jaguars can't let the Jets come in here and run. They ran for like 256 last year. If that happens, the Jaguars are going to lose. But this is a better run defense than it was when it played the Jets last year. I think they'll hold them, in the low hundreds. It's a team that wants to run, so they'll figure out a way to run some. But I don't think it'll get away from them. I think they'll stop the run enough to pressure Sam Darnold into mistakes.
They had those freak runs last year, the early one where he wasn't touchdown.
Just got to do this.
Just touch him. Right?
See that, Josh?
Yeah, that's it. I remember screaming that when that play happened.
You mind if I just keep doing this for a while? Just kind of.
Feels like you're my wife. Yes.
Well,
get it? Yeah.
Let's just move on from that.
Yeah.
Love it. John, what do you got coming up this week? What do we got here for you?
Covering the Jets, lead up.
Yeah.
We'll have our normal 10 things on Friday, and Brian Sexton and I will be weighing in with some quick thoughts on this game all week.
Quick thoughts from you and Bri.
No doubt.
Look forward to that.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for coming in, John.
Thanks, JP.
John Oehser, Jaguars.com senior writer, and I do mean writer.
And senior.
I was being nice. He'll be back with us each and every Tuesday here. Coming up at Daly's Place, busy schedule this week. Troy Sivan, September 26th. Darius Rucker, Sunday night after the Jets game at Daly's Place. And then Need to Breathe, October 2nd. Tickets at dailysplace.com. We go to the phone lines now and welcome in our guest today, former NFL punter, former Jaguar, for a cup of coffee or two. Steve Weatherford is with us. Steve, what's up? How are you?
JP, man, I tell you what, man, you've got one heck of a radio voice, man. I'm trying to hear Josh Scobee's radio voice. Do you have one, Josh?
Say it again.
Do you have a radio voice, Josh?
I don't. I have my normal voice. I have a lot of voices that people that I can mimic and make fun of, including yours. But I don't. I'm still working on my radio voice and enunciating and saying things the way that you need to on the radio.
Well, it makes me feel good, Josh, because you're so good at so many different things. The fact that I have a good radio voice and yours is just normal makes me feel a little bit better about myself.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll try to emulate you with that one, because people used to mistake us for the same person whenever you were here in Jacksonville, which now if they did that, it would be quite a bit different.
I can't tell you how many Josh Scobee autographs I did during my cup of coffee in Jacksonville.
You better not gotten paid for any of them.
And I was so offended. I'm like, my arms are at least 1 inch bigger than Josh Scobee.
Now they're about a foot bigger than mine.
Steve, what are you are into? You have a website. You got the whole fitness thing going on now. You're on magazine covers. I mean, you were always in good shape, but this is taking it to a different level right now, Steve.
Yeah, you know what, JP? I have always been extraordinarily fascinated by the human body and, unlocking genetic potential. And honestly, that's the only reason I ever made it into professional sports at all. I mean, I always had a degree of talent, but I was always the try-hard guy that came early, stayed late. I mean, I had an opportunity to play with Josh for a while. And, and play in Jacksonville Stadium and get to experience that franchise. And it was so awesome. But to be able to take that passion and have something that honestly, that doesn't get me out of bed anymore. It doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. It pulls me out of bed in the morning, man. I absolutely love being able to encourage people and inspire people to live a happier, healthier, more well-adjusted life, man, because it is so freaking easy to get stuck into like what you have to do every single day. And not enough people realize that they get to happen to life. They don't have to sit back and let life happen to them. And it really, at the end of the day, man, it starts with waking up every single day and having a purpose. And for me, one of the things that gets my engine running and really just inspires me to live life, because we only have a finite amount of time on this earth, is starting it with taking care of myself and the self-care. And whether that's, your nutrition or it's training, or it's just having a purpose of where you want to go with life and how you want to get there. And, one of the greatest blessings that we have in this life is our body. And it's got to carry us through the next, 100 years of life, from the time that we're born, and not enough people view it that way. If I told you I was going to buy you your dream car tomorrow, but the only catch is that's the only car that you're going to have for the rest of your life. You're going to wash it. You're going to wax it. You're going to balance the tires. You're going to put only the greatest fuel that you can inside of that car, because you know that that's got to last you for the next, 60, 70, 80 years of your life. But people don't treat it that way. People put all this garbage in their body. They don't exercise their, quote unquote, their car. And then people are wondering why, anxiety is on the rise, depression is on the rise, and why people are having trouble getting inspired to live life is because they're not taking care of the vehicle that's supposed to get them to where they want to go.
We're feeling really guilty right now is what we're feeling, Steve.
Yeah, we're eating a double-decker pizza right now. So
I'm going to get a run in tonight.
Hey, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I live like a monk, man, but I practice the 80-20. I'm eating 80% of my meals are really clean meals. They're balanced. You're getting plenty of vegetables, et cetera, et cetera. But don't get me wrong, man. I have some cold beers and some pizza and some burgers 20% of the time. I enjoy life, too.
I like to hear that because, that's what you and I like to do whenever you were here. So that makes me feel a little bit better about myself. So we appreciate you coming on with us. But we wanted to talk to you about your time with the Jets, because each week we like to bring someone on that played with the team that we're currently playing this week. So do you have some fond memories, some things that you did in New York with the Jets that you can tell us about?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that I can't tell you about, but we'll start with the things that I can tell you about. I played there for two full seasons, 2009, 2010, and the 2 years that I spent there were with Rex Ryan. It was his first 2 years as the head coach there, his most successful 2 years as the head coach there. We had a rookie quarterback in Mark Sanchez. We went to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row, and the culture for the New York Jets was really starting to make a paradigm shift to where the Jets weren't considered like the sister school of the New York sports teams, because the Giants had always had, tons of Super Bowls in the era of the 2000s and 2007 and et cetera, et cetera. They had very successful teams. They had a franchise quarterback. And so going there was a lot of excitement going to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row. And they had probably, this is my own personal opinion, the most entertaining head coach that possibly maybe has ever been in the NFL. And he was even that much more fun to be able to go to war with and compete with as much as you can go to war and compete as a punter. He just made coming to work a lot of fun. And he would jump on a grenade for his players, and he was a lot of fun to play with. So those were those 2 seasons, and that was kind of like the paradigm shift of like, whoa, maybe the New York Jets are like for real now. And they took a little bit of a nosedive, after those first 2 years. But the time that I really want to talk to you guys about was in 2015. I had just retired, and I was doing an ESPN radio show, and I was exercising my radio voice. And I was in Manhattan, ESPN Radio, and I had just got done previewing. It was a Saturday about noon. I had just got done previewing the New England Patriots and the New York Jets upcoming game, which was going to be the next day. And I remember talking about how awesome the New York Jets defense was and how they had so many playmakers, and Muhammad Wilkerson and Darrelle Revis and Calvin Pace and Bart Scott and all the electric defensive players that they had. And then I shifted to the offense. I'm like, they don't have really a lot to write home to mom about. Have you ever seen Ryan Fitzpatrick throw the ball over 40 yards? It's absolutely heinous. And then we went to commercial break. My phone rings, and I look at it, and it says Jets front office. I'm like, oh, crap, what did I say? And so I answer the phone during the commercial break, and it's Mike McCagnon. I think that's how you say his name. It was the GM for the Jets. And he calls me. He's like, hey, Steve, how you doing? Where are you at? And I'm like, oh, I'm in New York. I'm, doing my radio show. He's like, hey, is there any chance you could get up to Foxborough tomorrow for the Jets game? And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, I wonder if this guy wants me to do like the pregame or the postgame show or something like that. He's like, yeah, our punter seems to have an infection in his calf, and we're wondering if maybe you can play tomorrow. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I haven't touched the football in 2 months. I mean, granted, my arms are getting bigger, but I haven't touched the football in 2 months, and this dude wants me to play in a game tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. And so I ended up calling my wife as soon as I got off the phone with him. I'm like, hey, babe, I'm going to go up to Foxborough tomorrow for the New England game. Can you do me a favor and track down my cleats? I'm like, and she's thinking to herself, track down your cleats? What are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, they want me to play in the game tomorrow. So my wife is rummaging through the garage trying to find my cleats. And I run home, I throw on a suit, I grab my cleats, I drive to Florham Park, New Jersey, I jump on the team plane, and I'm like introducing myself to all my new teammates, and I'm not kidding you when I say this, Josh. They were stitching my number on my jersey in the locker room in Foxborough like 45 minutes before the game. I didn't even have a jersey to warm up in because they were still trying to figure out like what number that they could find to put on a jersey that would actually fit me. I was wearing somebody else's pads. I was lucky enough to find my own cleats. And I feel really embarrassed that I took home $104,000 for like 4 high school caliber punts.
High school caliber punts.
But they were covered well.
Dude. I think my first punt was maybe 39 yards, and I think it bounced about 5 yards. And it was not my strongest showing, but I was lucky that they let that check clear because it was kind of an embarrassing moment for me. But you kind of get what you pay for. I think I had maybe about 15 punts and warm-ups before the game because the coach was like really nervous. He's like, well, don't punt too much before the game because we don't want to wear your leg out. I'm like, well, I kind of need to punt a little bit because I haven't done this in about 60 days, and you want me to do this in your biggest game of the year, and I haven't even touched the football or even thought about touching the football for 2 months. And Todd Bowles he couldn't have been cooler. He was like, hey, man, I know you're kind of like a little bit out of sync, and you've never caught a snap from this long snapper, and you've never, these guys have never blocked or protected for you, and you don't know what our schemes are. And I'm like, Todd, it's not that big a deal, man. You snap me the ball, I punt it, you guys go tackle him. Let's get this thing done. And I was like super confident. And then when I actually got out there in the game, I'm like, this is actually a lot harder than what I remember it being.
That's awesome.
That's a fantastic story.
I have a question for you. You mentioned your time with Rex Ryan. You go from Rex Ryan with the Jets to Tom Coughlin of the Giants. How different personality are those two guys?
It was like going from the crazy uncle that you really shouldn't hang out with because he bought you beer and maybe he'd buy you a little baggie of cannabis when he know you're not supposed to going to playing for like Bob Knight. But there's, it just goes to show you can win a million different ways. I had the most regimented, rigorous, disciplinarian coach, which is honestly, he's still my hero to this day. And we were able to win a Super Bowl with him. And then obviously you win a Super Bowl, you were able to go to the NFC Championship game. But the 2 previous seasons to that, so I would go 2009, 2010, playing with the Jets. We go to the AFC Championship game twice and lose them. And then the next year, my contract's up. I end up going to the New York Giants, same stadium, different coach, same result, except we were able to win the championship game, then go to the Super Bowl. And it was just a complete different culture shift from the expectations of coach to player, player to coach, and just the culture in the locker room. The culture in the locker room with Rex was all about, let's govern from within. Our locker room was like Luxembourg. The team was the disciplinarians for the team. And I think the biggest problem that Rex Ryan had as a coach was after that 2010 season, he let the leaders in the locker room, he let them go in free agency, and he didn't provide enough leadership and accountability coming from the top and trickling down he let that permeate from the locker room and then permeate out through the locker room. And then when you lost those leaders that were in the locker room, that's when that team really started to dissolve as a successful franchise. And Tom Coughlin is such a control freak, and I mean that in the best way possible. He left no stone unturned. Nobody was ever going to out-prepare him. And it went to show you in games when he would play some of the greatest minds that's ever coached football, and Bill Belichick, he was able to beat him the 2 times that he played him in the Super Bowl. And it was just a great experience to be able to be on both of those teams and to see that there's not just one way to win football games. You know, you can do it a lot of different ways, but with consistency, Tom Coughlin, with what he's done in Jacksonville and the personnel that he's put together, and not to take anything away from Doug Marrone, but there's a culture change that happened when Tom Coughlin went down to Jacksonville, and I could not be more proud to say I'm a Jacksonville fan, and I'm not saying this just pandering to you guys on this show. Wherever Tom Coughlin goes,
you might be.
Wherever
Steve.
Tom Coughlin goes, I will be a fan of that team, unless he goes to Philadelphia.
I agree with that. Well, we're the Jacksonville fans and community and team is sure glad to have Coughlin back here. So it's cool to hear those stories from you, and we appreciate you, Steve, for coming on.
Josh, you are the most talented kicker I have ever played with in my life, man. And I mean this when I say this. It was the funnest year of professional sports was playing with you, man, and I mean that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I had a blast as well, man. Thank you.
All right, JP, Josh, I appreciate you guys, man.
There you go, Steve Weatherford, former punter in the National Football League, long time in the league. A cup of coffee with the Giants. High praise of Scobee, too. Wow. I mean, I hope the shows go as well as the season.
He and I got along really well. We obviously, he's a very fun guy, articulate, and, fun to listen to because he can tell some stories. So we had this card game that a lot of us on the team played together, and he was involved in that when he got here. And he would just sit at the table and tell us story after story after story. And as you can see, he's a fun storyteller, and he's got some good ones to tell.
No doubt about that. And appreciate you reaching out, and Steve, for coming on with us today. And our thanks to John Ozier as well, Jaguars.com senior writer. What you got this week, Scope? Anything? Playing some golf? What are you doing?
Maybe so. Maybe some golf tomorrow. But looking forward to the game on Sunday, taking the kids there, have the game day tailgate experience again that I'm doing with Jets fireman Ed is going to be the guy that's going to be there with me. I know I'm going to have to put up with his crap all morning. So anyone wants to buy tickets to that, go to gtepresents.com, and you can come out and hang out with me, get some autographs, and talk trash to Jets fans. So I'm going to ask him if he actually has to write down on his hand how to spell Jets.
It's a good question.
It's a tough one.
It's 4 letters.
Oh, the guy spelled it wrong at the draft last year. He said Jete, Jets. It's a tough one, apparently.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
1 o'clock kickoff Sunday. We'll see you there, Josh.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
The Jags and the Jets right around the corner. That'll do it for our show today. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.